Jason Davis and Chris Korte back to talk about the spring national finals for the UPSL. We've got two semifinals, four teams, an opportunity to win a national title. Games happening August 8th. That's a Friday. Semifinals, LA10 out of Los Angeles, California against Balboa FC from Fort Worth, Texas. In that second semifinal, Tennessee Tempo from Nashville will take on Chicago Nation FC. Chris, exciting times. Let's dive in and learn about some teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's start off with a very well known and everybody's favorite, one of West Coast California's top teams, LA10 Football Club. We talked about these guys a few times. Of course, Italian legend, Italian soccer legend, Alessandro Del Piero. He's involved a little bit here in one of these teams. Very similar jersey colors. I mean, you even see it down to the colors they wear on game day. They look like a Juventus team. And at the moment, they're playing like a Juventus team right now, just absolutely dominating right now. They've scored about 52 goals in the regular season. So this is not a team that's messing around at all. Yeah, when I saw that number, I was surprised too. But, back-to-back national playoffs, they've made it to this point for the first time. Last year, they were in the quarterfinals, another undefeated season. These guys are putting up numbers. They've got the backing from Alessandro and his Juventus-affiliated youth academy side in LA as well. So a lot going on here, a lot of strong backing, a lot of strong players. They've actually had three or four players move on to USL teams in this past offseason. So you would think they had lost a step or two on the offensive third, but that's not the case at all. Like I've said, they scored over 50 goals. And this is important to know that these guys have been the UPSL just a couple of years. They start off in Division I. They got promoted. They earned their way up. Like I said, went to the national quarterfinals last year. Now they make it to their first ever UPSL national finals. I know everybody in that group is excited. It's a talented group right there, LA10 Football Club. And let's see
obviously not a surprise to see a guy like Alessandro Del Piero be good at finding talent, even if it's not in his native Italy, if it's here in California and Los Angeles. And we know that there's sort of soccer players littered all over the place in Southern California. You just got to find them and put them together. So LA10 is the top seed. They will take on Balboa FC. This is a first-time finalist out of Fort Worth, Texas. And you're telling me, Chris, this is something of a surprise, a Cinderella story.
Yeah, this is definitely a very, very interesting story. A local group of friends from the Fort Worth, Texas area. We've had some of these guys, growing up playing youth soccer together. Then they had people move on to play at University of Dallas. They've had players move on to play at SMU. A couple of big D1 schools. But this group has stayed together, stayed friends, and that chemistry absolutely shows in the way they're playing right now. They've knocked off quite a few of the UPSL's top teams in Texas. I mean, Foro, who've been to the national finals before, Sporting NTX, Houston FC. I mean, these are all top Texas teams, established semi-professional sides. And it looks like these guys have absolutely come out of nowhere. Cinderella story, like you said, a dark horse favorite, knocking off top teams left and right. And I was talking to co-owner and co-head coach Juan Castillo the other day. He's only 22 years old, this guy. He's putting together his team with his group of friends. Crazy, I know. And he's putting together his team with this group of friends. He said chemistry is what's brought him to this point, and it's hard to disagree with that because, like I said, they've knocked off some teams they had no business beating. They finished third, believe it or not, in their conference. They finished third. They really ramped it up in the playoffs. Maybe had something to do with the fact that some of these college guys, as they got further into the playoffs, were getting back into the fold. Like I said, some of these SMU, University of Dallas guys, these D1 college ballers from the Texas area. But regardless of how they did it, they absolutely turned up in the playoffs, knocked off, like I said, some former national finalists before. And let's see how far they can go. Like I said, owner Juan Castillo, he's riding the wave. He's happy with how the team is playing. He says it's all due to chemistry and the fact that these guys grew up playing together.
Yeah, I like this little fact that he said his dad's first pro team in El Salvador was Atletico Balboa, so he wanted to name his team Balboa to connect to his dad's story. That's the cool stuff that can happen with a club like this, started by a bunch of former college soccer players, guys getting together, just throwing something together. Very cool story. They do have a tough task. Again, Cinderella against LA10, who is the top seed overall going into the finals. I will say this as well, it's a truism of American sports, Chris. Get hot, playoff time. That's all you got to do. You make it in. Doesn't matter how you get in, just get in. Then you give yourself a shot in the playoffs. So good story there for Balboa FC. Let's move on to our other semifinal. Again, we've got four teams going out to California Championship Soccer Stadium in Irvine, California, August 8th for the semis, August 10th for the final. You've got Chicago Nation FC, third time at the national finals. They will take on Tennessee Tempo. So let's start with Chicago Nation, Chris.
Yeah, really interesting. The second matchup we've got here, semifinal 2, like you said, Friday, August 8th, 8 p.m. local time. That's kicking off 5 p.m. Eastern time. But Tennessee Temple, Chicago Nation, both sides have been here in the national finals before. Chicago Nation have been here 3 times. We just saw them playing. Believe it or not, we see a lot of news coming out. Transfer news regarding Jan Diamande, a former national finals MVP. He's actually one of the stars that took down a very strong Chicago Nation side back in 2023, I believe, down in Loudoun against AS Frenzy. That was a very competitive national finals. They unfortunately fell just short. I know these guys are itching to really secure this national championship. I've been talking to owner and head coach Garrett Hayward. He recruits very heavily. He brings in a lot of top guys, some local indoor guys, some local semi-pro guys. He usually puts together very, very talented teams. And I kind of told him, I kind of asked him what his thoughts were ahead of this game against Tennessee Temple. Like I said, both teams have been here before, and I spoke to him, and he said this is business as usual for this group right here. It's one game at a time. But he said he's confident with the way they've been playing all year. They haven't been messing around. They themselves, they were finished runners-up in the Midwest, Central, North. But once they hit playoff time, they took down a bunch of top teams. New York Braveheart, they took down New York Shockers, Detroit City FC, a pro-affiliated side out in the Midwest. I think Chicago Nation really means business this year. These guys are back, like we said, for the 3rd time in the national finals. Garrett, speaking on his confidence that how the group is feeling right now, he says they're really balanced right now. That was the key, that what's bringing them further this year, and what he thinks can really take them all the way through is that every addition he's made has made this team even more balanced.
Look, we're talking about some big metropolitan areas represented in these finals in the spring. So Los Angeles with LA10, Chicago with Chicago Nation, Fort Worth, so the Fort Worth Dallas Metroplex area there for Balboa FC. We know that, again, lots of talent in these areas, lots of teams, like multiple clubs operating in the same spaces, challenging each other, those kind of things. That'll sharpen your edge, in your conference, in your division, as you try to get to a national title. So Chicago Nation, Tennessee Tempo. Again, you said they've been here before, so they're looking to finish the job. What do we see out of this team from Nashville?
Yeah, Tennessee Tempo. So our Tennessee conference manager, Gift, and Tennessee Tempo owner, Gift is putting together quietly a very strong team out of Nashville, Tennessee. They've been here twice before. Last time we saw these guys was spring 2022 in Columbus, Ohio, at the historic Columbus Stadium. Those guys fell just short back there. Back then, I remember them putting together a very tough side with a couple of former MLS pros, even in a couple of USL guys. They still couldn't get the job done. So these guys, listen, both these teams are absolutely itching to get their hands on this national championship. They've both been here before. And one thing interesting that Gift told me, and head coach Gift told me, and a lot of other coaches are saying the same thing at this time, is as you get to the end, it really has less to do with technical ability, physical strength, talent alone, and athleticism. It really has a lot to do with how you play as a group and your togetherness and your chemistry. And that was another point that he made when I talked to him the other day. And he was saying that, individually, the game they had before against Miami United, he said that was actually a better team than them. They were actually playing better individually. But the way they approached the game, they had a lot of one-on-one battles in that last game, that Miami United side. They approached it a lot of individual offensive attacking plays. But he said the difference maker for his team was his group attacked together and they defended together. And so I think that if they can keep playing the way that they're playing, where everybody attacks together as a group and everybody's moving back and defending together as a group, and you see that kind of wave forming where the team is kind of moving together and as a reaction to the way the game is being played out, I think there's a smart couple players that play on this Tennessee Temple team, and they're being led by a knowledgeable guy, Gift. And I think he knows what he's doing. And we're going to see maybe a few surprises, because we didn't expect these guys to really take care of Miami United last round, but they got the job done against a very tough Miami United side.
Yeah, I mean, there's something that's running through these finalists, right? That all of these teams, I mean, LA10 has been working their way up, and again, they got the big name with Alessandro Del Piero in charge, or at the top of the pyramid in that club. But these teams are all taken down national powers. They've all taken down teams that that we've seen in the finals in the past that have been fixtures. I mean, I'm reading about Chicago taking out New York Braveheart, which I know is a powerful team out of that region. So lots of reason to kind of pay attention to some teams that are trying to get this national title deal done. Again, we have the finals in Irvine, California, Championship Soccer Stadium, August 8th for the semifinals. LA10 up against Balboa FC, and then Chicago Nation and Tennessee Tempo in that second semi, with a final to come just a couple days later. So, Chris, what else do we need to tell the people about the national finals and what they're looking forward to?
Listen, I think we have 4 great stories here going on. I think we have 4 amazing teams from 4 very different backgrounds. We've got LA10 with pro-affiliated ownership. We've got Balboa FC, a couple of college friends playing amazing together. We've got Tennessee Tempo, a team made up of foreigners and people outside the U.S. that are coming together, building a program in Nashville, and Chicago Nation, a team that tries to make it to the national playoffs every year they can through great recruiting strategy and just a great core group that they seem to bring back every year with professional aspirations and affiliations with those guys over there. So all 4 of these teams, super, super talented. I do think it's interesting that the 2 teams that have been here before, the teams that's been there 3 times before, Chicago Nation, the team that's been here twice before, that they're playing in the first matchup. I would have kind of liked to see maybe a Tempo versus LA10, Chicago, just to kind of switch it up. But I do think it's interesting the more experienced teams are playing first. That kind of knocks out one of the more experienced sides in this competition. So en route to the final, LA10 or Balboa are going to be facing an experienced side, but those guys over there, they both lack experience there. So it's very interesting to see that no matter who wins in that group, they're going to have to face the side that's already been here before.
Right. And I definitely think, I mean, for LAFC making the finals for the first time and all of that, but this is the team that's the top seed, right? This is the team that carries that Juventus lineage from Del Piero. This is the team that conceded 2 goals in the regular season. And what was the number you said? 50 plus goals they scored to get to the playoffs, to get to the quarterfinals, to get to the semis now, and potentially to win a title. So that is pressure a little bit. You got to live up to that top seeded billing.
Yeah, my prediction here is I think LA10 is going to be really tough to stop. Balboa is going to definitely have their hands full. Let's see how far the power of friendship can take them, but that's definitely a very tough matchup for them. I do think that maybe LA10 gets a narrow win here, and that Tennessee Temple Chicago Nation game, that's definitely a toss-up. Like I said, those guys have both been here before.
And I love the range of approaches here is what the UPSL provides with these teams. They want to get top level competition. Maybe they've got just a bunch of college kids. Maybe they've got that mix of semi-pro players. Maybe they got players with professional experience in them. In a case of LA10, it's mostly about that connection to the Juve Academy and some opportunities for players to grow out of California. Meanwhile, in Texas, Balboa is probably not thinking about it the same way. There's a bunch of guys getting together. They want to put a competitive team on the field, give some guys whose careers are probably over an opportunity to continue to play soccer. I love that about the UPSL.
Yeah, it's a healthy mix, like you just said. I mean, half of those guys on LA10, they're still trying to go pro. The guys on Balboa, they're playing off of vibes. They're happy to be here. That head coach told me no matter what's happened, they've made history and they're proud of what they've done. So, that's the team you kind of want to fear too, is the team that has nothing to lose.
Yeah, one more time, just for your knowledge, national finals, spring season UPSL. LA10 facing off against Balboa FC, 5 p.m. local time in Irvine at Championship Soccer Stadium, 8 o'clock East Coast. Adjust for your time zone. Tennessee Tempo and Chicago Nation, the nightcap at 8 p.m. Eastern out west. That would be 11 p.m. East Coast time. And the national finals. So there is a third place match at 2 p.m. on Sunday, August 10th between the 2 losers from the semifinal. The championship match, the winner lifting the trophy, becoming UPSL champion of the spring season, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 8:30 on the East Coast. Chris, any parting words?
Yeah, listen, one big one. Admission is free. I'll see you guys all there. It should be a great game. It's a beautiful stadium, Orange County in the USL, compete there every weekend. I see some of those home games over there. Those guys like to have a good time. They like to turn up. So guys, please, everybody come out. Admission is free. And I promise you that national championship match, that is always a good one. It should be back and forth, maybe even some PKs. We'll see what happens.